What's up, everybody? Welcome to 2B1 Podcast.
This is our countdown to our 10-year wedding anniversary on April 11th. And so we wanted to take some time to sit down and reflect on what got us to this big milestone. So Levi, tell the people how we met.
Well, it could feel like this is an embarrassing story, but I'll jump right into it. So we move into our apartment in 2010, I believe it was. Yes, August 2010? Yes, that's the timeline. So August 2010, we move into our apartment. And being the guys that we are, we don't go prepared.
Well, back up. What apartment? Where were we?
Oh, we were at Westchester University.
Go Rams.
Yes, absolutely. So being the guys that we were, me and my roommate, I had a double. There were two doubles and there were two singles. Or no, it was a double, our double, and three singles. Being the guys that we were, and we didn't know each other. I only knew my roommate. We knew each other. We were friends. But I didn't know the other apartment mates who were in there. So being the guys we were, we didn't go to, Walmart or take our trips to go get all the stuff, the toiletries we need. We just showed up to campus and moved our stuff in. So the morning that we had classes, the first morning we had classes. Yeah. The very first morning that we had classes, our roommate clogged the toilet. So it's not embarrassing for me. So he
says.
Our roommate clogged the toilet, and what happened was they left and went to class and didn't tell anybody what happened. So we find out the toilet is clogged as we're getting ready to go to class because our class, me and Hans, shout out to Hans.
Shout out to Hans.
Yeah. And Sin, shout out to Sin too. But yeah, we had later classes, so we didn't have to get up, really early to go to class. So they must have had a really early class because they were up and out very quickly. So we get up to get ready for class, and I can't remember who it was that discovered that the toilet was clogged up, but we both were just like, yo, they clogged the toilet and just left and didn't tell anybody anything. So we didn't have a plunger to take care of the situation. But Hans had friends that lived around the corner from us, literally probably at the corner from where we lived. So it wasn't really around the corner. It was like you walked out of our apartment and then you went to the stairwell that took you to the parking lot, and their apartment was on the right-hand side at the top of the stairwell. So we would pass it to go to the parking lot.
Right.
And so we he had to go to class. So if Hans had class at 9, I didn't have class till like 10. So he was like, well, I got to go to class because at this point it's in the 8 o'clock hour. I have to get ready and get on this shuttle to get to class, and everybody know about the shuttle. If you're there now, you know about the shuttle, so you gotta be on time, get to where you got to get to if you want to get to class on time because the professor's not going to hear anything about that shuttle. So he's like, I got to get to class, but my friend lives in the apartment right here. As soon as you step out, if you look to your left, it's right there at the top of the stairs. Like, just go there. They already know you're coming. I told them, or whatever like that. So, and actually, I can't remember when I had class because I think Diana had like 1 or 2 classes before this point. So it might have even been like 11 o'clock or something like that because you were on a break, I think, from class when you were back in your apartment.
Yeah, I think I had maybe like one class, like maybe a 9 or something like that.
Okay.
And then I was on break because most of my classes were in the evening. Okay.
So I think I'm remembering correctly. So it was probably around 10 a.m. when I was able to get this plunger. So Hans sends me over. I go to get the plunger, and Diana opens the door. Now, caveat, I was in a relationship at the time. So just to give a little foresight, I'll get to that point. But I saw her. I was like, oh, my goodness, she's gorgeous, right? So I'm in a relationship, but I'm not blind. I can still see beauty in front of me. So I was like, man, she looks good. And it felt almost like a supernatural thing for me. Like, oh, my goodness, this is my wife right here. Now, that sounds bad. It sounds very, very bad.
It does sound bad.
Because I was in a relationship and there was nothing wrong with the young woman who I was in a relationship with. I'm actually still pretty cordial with her today. We knew each other as kids. and we're dating at Westchester before I met Diana, and so it sounds bad, but it's just what happened, and it's part of the story. So I have to tell it. But there was no foul play, if you want to say, in that regard, because I was so adamant that I would not do that in this regard, because I was like, if this is supposed to be somebody I'm supposed to be with, I don't want it to start in messiness as it pertains to me being with somebody else and then starting up a relationship or trying to start a relationship with her at the same time. I didn't want this to be built on a foundation of messiness. So
thank you for that.
That was my big thing when it came to that, because it hit me so hard like that it wasn't something that I thought of in my head. Like, yes, she was physically beautiful to me, but it was something deeper than that when I first saw her. So she gives me the plunger. I think I don't know if she remembers, but I almost I was stopped in my tracks. She opened the door and I was kind of like, and she was like, "You need this?" And I was like, "Oh yeah." Because I told you in that moment, everything just kind of flashed in my mind. So that's how I actually met her. That's the very first time I ever met her.
Right. That's the first time we ever
saw each other.
Yeah. And
so she didn't have the same reaction I had. I was just some dude that probably clogged the toilet up. That's who I was to her. So I'll let her take it from here, because that's kind of how we got to the point of meeting each other. Actually, no, maybe I had to go. Do I have to tell them a little more to get to the point of because there was some time between that and then me coming to your party that year.
Well, I guess I can give my side to our first meeting.
Okay. Yeah, I've never.
Which is not much different. I guess just my point of view to everything. It was just Hans had texted me and was like, my roommate's coming over to grab a plunger, or do you guys have a plunger? Can my roommate come over and grab it or whatever? And it was just okay, cool, whatever. Come tell him, knock on the door. I'm here. I'll give it to him and you guys can give it back whenever you're done, or you can keep it and we'll go buy another one, whatever. So yeah, I don't think I had any reaction or whatever. I think I was like, oh yeah, open the door, nice, tall, dark, and handsome guy, but not not pressed or not thinking of anything else other than Hans' friends need something. Yeah. So, but then after that, I feel like you kind of were more around, I guess.
I mean, so not directly after, I would say around your birthday. Because I spent a lot of time with my then girlfriend at that time. I spent a lot of time with her. So y'all would always be like, yo, y'all would come to our room and I would rarely ever be there because I would be at her room. So
I guess that's true.
It was around your birthday when I started to, Hans, I think, invited me or said that you invited me to the birthday party. Mm-hmm. Or not really invite. You said it's okay for him to come over.
Yeah, it was like an open party.
Yeah, it was hey, if he's around, because he's never around. And we know he has a girlfriend, so we understand why he's never around. But if he is around and he's not doing anything and he wants to come over to the party, everybody's gonna be over here. So just go ahead. Right. So we want to make that clear, because I really want to be clear about the start of our relationship. I want to be clear about all of that timeline, only because
it wasn't messy.
It wasn't messy. She wasn't. Mm-hmm. She knew I had a girlfriend. She respected that, and we'll talk about that in a second, because that's also a part of the journey. Mm-hmm. So so then I go to her birthday party, and
that was cordial, because I was just having a good time, taking care of people who were a little too intoxicated at my own birthday party, but that's fine. Yeah. So we barely really saw each other at my birthday party. I feel like I remember seeing you, and then I was
as I was right with you when you was taking care of everybody.
Yeah, I have no don't really remember that. So I do remember later that later that night, I remember as the party was winding down and people were leaving, that you were still around. So I guess you were there.
Yeah, so I mean, that's one of the things. I'm very observant, and I was watching you take care of people, and I was like, wow, she's like the mother of, of the group or whoever she's around. She's like the mother of this. So she's taking care of everybody when it's really her birthday, and she should be the one that has the concession, right? That's what I would think, like, to be overly intoxicated and to be cared for. That will come later. Of course, after I committed, that would happen. But that's a story for another time. That is a story for another time.
Another time, friends, not for here.
Our friends know about that. But, watching her do that was pretty cool and added to the appeal that she had in my eyes as far as who she was. So it wasn't like, okay, she's pretty, she's smart. That was evident just by her dedication to the way that she took care of her work and stuff like that. So I noticed that. And one of the things my dad, rest in peace, always told me was to find a smart girl. he said, you found a smart girl, but you didn't interact with her in school the first time the way you were supposed to. You're supposed to like always be studying with her, like so he said, but good, you got a smart girl, so when y'all have children, y'all children will be smart because y'all both be smart and all that kind of stuff. So that was his big thing. And ultimately, and we'll get there when we start talking more about marriage in our other parts, ultimately her and my pop became like two peas in a pod at right from the moment that they started to interact with each other. So, but smart, and we hung out for her birthday, and then I think from that point, so that was around her birthday is in December, so around Christmas, then we go on break. Mm-hmm. From that point on, I was hanging more around the crew. So even then, like I said, because I'm still in a relationship, I'm hanging around the crew as friends. I'm getting to know everybody, including her. But just became my crew. These became the people who I could trust, rely on, and things like that. So we fast forward, and now some dates are hazy. I used to know like what day it was or whatever, but I actually ended up breaking up with the girl I was seeing at that time. This had to be like February.
I don't know.
It was really February or March. It was definitely February or March. I can't remember if it was before or after Valentine's Day.
I mean, this was a while ago. This was like 12, 13 years ago now.
It might be longer than that. But anyway, so we get to the place where we're in the second half of that semester. Mm-hmm. I'm hanging around a lot more. I'm becoming Roger from Sister. Mm-hmm. So I'm one of them people, once I get comfortable, I'm in the mix. Like, I'm there. Like, Hans would be not around, and I'd be at the house chilling, and Diana would be like, why are you here? Where's Hans?
Why are you here in my space?
And so her best friend, Danili, was kind of in cahoots because she would invite me over to hang out and things like that. And even if Hans couldn't make it, like, I was always welcome and all that kind of stuff. So, from Danili.
And Stephanie.
Oh, yeah, and Stephanie. I'm sorry, Stephanie. And shout out to Stephanie. Yeah. So, I was hanging out more, and eventually, I feel like it was around graduation. That was 2000. Yeah,
because that's the year Tiffany graduated, right?
Yeah. So, everybody, I was of age. I was able to go to the bars and stuff, and, I would go to the bars a lot during the weekend. I wasn't foreign to that, type of outing and stuff like that, but for some, like, not for some reason, I had my reasons, but so do you want to take it from here, from that night, or do you want to talk about how when I was like,
I would say, I guess I can input about like how I felt when you would be coming over and like hanging at our apartment, and I would be so annoyed and like be like, why are you here? No, like, nothing is happening. It's a regular Tuesday. Go to class, go to your room, like, go hang out with your friends. Why are you in this apartment? Like, get out of here. To the point that I would even get up and leave the living room and go to my room and close the door and be like, I just don't understand why he's here all the time. Just go away. But I guess a little bit of that was, I think at first, I told you this when we were dating and stuff, but like at first, Levi's personality is so big and he's so confident in who he is that to me it came off very arrogant, and arrogance kind of rubs me the wrong way, and so I think that was annoying. And then probably a little part of me was also downplaying, like, oh, maybe I really like this guy, or maybe I'm interested in him a little bit, but I think I was definitely like downplaying it then. But yeah, then I think that night it was like right around graduation time. The crew was going out. I was not of age, and I didn't have a little fake ID to get me anywhere.
Listen,
so I had to be.
I don't know nothing about no fake ID. I don't know what y'all talking about. No, we'll extract that from the record.
So I had to, follow the rules and stay home. And yeah, I think that was one of the nights we had more like conversation and got to know each other a little bit more. And I think that definitely sparked the next step, which is dating, which is what we'll talk about in the next one.
Right. What I do want to say about that night is it was cool because Hans and Danili were, I think, there for most of the night.
I think so.
Because they were both underage as well. They both weren't able to go to the bars or anything as well. So it wasn't like what you would think, like what you watch on TV shows or movies about like college hookups and stuff. Like it was like, oh, they just went at it. As soon as everybody went to the bars, like it was two other people there. So it was a lot of like community centered, like getting to know each other still, being silly, having a good time, and things like that. It wasn't like isolated, like for most of the night, it wasn't an isolated situation. It was very like group still oriented. And that's really how we got to know each other, was like around our group of friends. So I was able to secure a kiss that night. She didn't think I was gonna bring that up.
I did not think you was gonna spill that tea. Thank you.
I was able to secure a kiss that night, and with the Riz, the young boys talk about Riz, I invented it. They in my playbook when we talk about that. So don't get me. I ain't even gonna go into that because I don't even want to start talking out the side of my mouth. I can really get into it, but let's not even go there. You feel me? Like, we just gonna keep it here because you could tell where it's going right now because the words are starting to blur together. You ain't listening slow, I'm just talking fast, or you ain't listening fast, I'm just talking slow, whichever one you want to say.
Goodbye.
But anyway, I was able to riz it up, like the young bulls like to say. Got the kiss, got a confirmation on the date, and that's where we'll stop with this part of the journey because that'll be for the next day.
So thank you for joining and listening to 2B1 Podcast.
2B1 forever.